Explosive Bomb Man!
We is back! And today's video will be for those who have just joined or want to join the craze of being annoyed at Hitman players by dedicating the limited daily hours that they have on playing this godforsaken game called Untitled Boxing Game. But before all of that, of course, look at this graph, and let's proceed to the video. Before getting started, I gotta teach you one thing. We all know how infuriating it is to be peacefully playing a game only for everything to stop as if Dio screams his signature. We also can't learn anything from Professor Boom's class if our connection ain't crystal clear. That's why I want to introduce you to GearUP, a reliable tool that will swat that spiking ping back in its rightful place.
Trash!
It's very easy to use. You just gotta boot it up, click that thing, and bam, let it do its work. And let's look at our ping. So this was my ping before GearUP, and look at that difference. It's smooth and it's buttery. From 100 plus, we've went down to 80 and below, which guarantees a smooth and buttery gaming experience. Other YouTubers are also using it, like Agamatsu and Clowny Smash, so it's definitely safe. This app is Booman approved, so be sure to check it out. And did I mention that it's also available on mobile? I'll link it in the description below. Comment down how low you've managed to get your ping down to. I'd love to hear about it. And back to where we were. So UBG isn't really a complex game. To move, you either use your WASD or arrow keys or a joystick if you're playing on mobile. I feel sorry for people who are playing on mobile. To punch, well, you press the punch button, duh.
Let me clarify, since Human Boom is being a smartass. If you're on PC, your punch buttons are usually left click and right click. But if your mouse is broken, you can use your K and L keys on your keyboard. But if you're on mobile, it's these buttons. Okay, back to Human Boom.
You have two kinds of punches, an M1 and an M2. An M1 is a light attack that launches quickly. It deals minimal damage, but you can spam it, and this is the only attack in the game that you can spam. This is the punch that you will mostly use during your games because this will serve as your main pressure tool. Take note though that M1 damage is easily recoverable. Look at this. I am dealing damage, but not everything I've dealt is permanent. That's because an M1 usually do not have a strong anti-heal. An M2 on the other hand is a heavy attack. This launch much slower than an M1, but it deals more damage at once. You use this to hammer in some permanent unrecoverable damage on your opponent, as an M2 is capable of preventing HP regeneration. Like so. A normal fundamental to apply is to throw a barrage of M1s to lower your opponent's HP and then drop the M2 to prevent your opponent from recovering HP that they have lost. Simple enough, right? But what about defending? So we got two ways of defending from the punches in UBG. Dashing and guarding. Guarding is very simple. You press the block button and you raise your guard. While guarding, incoming damage won't hurt you as much. Take note that your guard has a limit and can be broken once it is depleted. If broken, you will be stunned for a brief moment, making you vulnerable to getting bonked, so keep an eye on that guard meter. Now dashing. Dashing allows you to dodge your opponent's punches. This is riskier but definitely more rewarding than simply blocking. Your dashes are directional. To dash left, you need to walk to your left and then press dash. You can dash forward, backward, left, and right. You can also do what's called a perfect dodge by dodging an M1 or an M2 at the right time. To pull this off, you need to dash at the direction at which the incoming punch is coming from. So if the punch is coming from the right, you dash right, and so on. Now let's talk about backdashing. Backdashing is a safe way to disengage, but there's a mechanic called backdash degradation, where the more you backdash consecutively, the less iframes you get with your backdash. This mechanic is implemented to prevent passive play and force people to play the game as intended. I'm looking at you, Hitman mains. Now, how do we prevent our opponents from dodging our attacks? Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the feints. Feinting allows you to fake a punch to throw your opponent off. A feinted punch is much harder to dodge because the timing and direction will be different than usual. There are two kinds of feints, an M1 feint and an M2 feint. You can show an M1 feint by launching an M1 and then immediately clicking the M2 button before the M1 animation ends. This will cause you to launch an M2 instead of an M1, making it great for dealing permanent damage after an M1 combo, like so. Now for M2 feints. An M2 feint is just the opposite of an M1 feint, where you throw an M2 and press M1, mid-animation to turn your M2 into a light attack and start an M1 combo. Take note that feints consume more stamina than a normal punch, so use it with caution to prevent you from running out of gas suddenly. Now for the ultimate. You probably noticed this big circle at the bottom of the screen and are probably wondering what it's for. Well, that's your ultimate meter. You start every game with a 0 ultimate meter. Getting hit and hitting your opponents will fill up this meter until it reaches 100%, where it will now be usable. An average ultimate will usually deal half of your opponent's HP, which is a lot, but all of that is recoverable, so be sure to make it count if you're going to use it. Ultimates are generally used as finishers, so save it until your opponent has 50% or less than 50% before using it. Your ultimate can also be blocked and dodged, so be wary of that. You can also use your ultimate to block break people by chaining it with your M1s if you manage to lower their guard enough. Now let's talk about counters. Counters are stronger than normal punches. A counter happens when you land a punch on your opponent while they are in the middle of a punch animation.
There is no guaranteed way of performing a counter other than catching your opponents off guard while they are mid-animation, but feints are a pretty reliable tool if you want to land more counters. If you want to master this, then there's no other way to improve besides just some pure, hard practice, because this mechanic relies on a boxer's prediction and observation skills.
Now the styles. Currently, UBG has more than 20 styles with unique strengths and weaknesses. Upon entering the game, you'll have the basic style, but let's be honest, no one really wants to stick with basic first thing in the game, so I'll help you choose a style. So there are 5 boxing types currently present in UBG. You've got the infighters, outboxers, counterpunchers, brawlers, and boxer punchers. Infighters are your standard offensive styles focused on pressure and aggression. Some examples of this are Ippo, Charge, and Smash. Outboxers are styles that prefer to stay out of their opponent's range using their speed or reach advantage. Some examples of this are Hitman, Long Guard, and Hands Low. Counterpunchers are styles that rely on their strong counter bonuses for damage. Some examples are Counter, Hands Low, and Bullet. Brawlers are the bull rushers that aren't afraid to go blow for blow with their opponents because of their high pressure, high base damage. Some examples of this are Slugger and Charge. Boxer punchers are pretty much a mix of everything, balanced and well-rounded. Some examples are Ghost, Basic, and the Corkscrew. Based on these 5 style archetypes, you can choose which type of playstyle will suit you the most. You can experiment and try every single one until you find the one that resonates with you perfectly. Just please stay away from Hitman. Anyways, that's about everything you need to know to get started with your Untitled Boxing journey. Now get out there, kick some ass, and tell them that Boom Man sent you.